there, this is Sherry Hayes with MomDelights.com, and we're in a series about how to have an excellent education for cheap or free. And today we're going to talk about getting rid of the fluff and the bore. So stay tuned. When I'm talking about fluff and bore, what do I mean? Well, I gotta tell you that most of the stuff we have in schools today is either fluff or bore. And they're both stemming from the same idea, and that is that there is no absolute truth, so therefore we have to feed people just facts or what we want to propagandize them with. And so therefore kids know, they can smell it. So in order, it's just like feeding a kid some liver. So what you want to do is you want to smother it in something else. Like when my mom would feed me liver, she would have mashed potatoes, and so I would try to take that piece of liver and put it inside the mashed potatoes so that when I ate the mashed potatoes, it wouldn't taste as bad. Some people do the liver and onions kind of thing, like there's more oniony in it. And so there's a certain way we have gone about educating children in this age, and it's all so awful that what we do is we have to either fluff it up and make it so fluffy that there's not very much substance, or we have to make it boring and say, so what? You have to learn this boring stuff, and it's like liver. And they just don't even try to put the mashed potatoes or the onions with it. It's just straight liver, and it's not even cooked very well, and it's awful. Okay, and it's tough, and I'm sorry. Going back to childhood memories here. But anyway, so what we want to do instead, now, come with me, walk with me. We're going to talk about giving our kids steak. In other words, giving them substance that is so meaty that they crave it, that they can smell it, that it's so delicious to them that you can't keep them from it. And that is how the excellence comes in. That is how God brings those loaves and fishes, and He multiplies them, because everything that we feed our children is so yummy. It's kind of like, you can feed a person, you can give them like Twinkies and, some nice potato chips and a little side of gummy worms for dinner. And, kids will love it for a little while. I had a young member of our family, and it was tragic because his parents were neglectful of him, and he had bags of candy. They had candy laying around the house everywhere, but they didn't cook for him, and so he was skinny as a rail. His teeth were all rotted in his face because they gave him what they thought would shut him up and stop him from crying that he was hungry, but they didn't feed him any substance. So what you do is, instead of giving your children a lot of like fluffy things or things that don't really nourish them, but it'll stop their stomach from hurting for a minute, what you do is, and you have to feed a person, let's take a diet where you don't have much meat. You have to eat a lot of stuff from a lot of different categories in order to fill the same amount of nutrition you can get in a 6-ounce steak. You do, right? If you want to have protein, you have to do a lot of different things in order to get the same amount of protein. And if you don't eat meat, please, I'm not trying to insult you. I'm just talking about for nutritional value. Even if you don't agree with eating meat, this is really the truth. That eating some meat, it's like concentrated. It's like there's so much nutrition. You could take like a nutrition bar maybe if you want to do that. And you try to concentrate as much nutrition in that little nutrition bar, and you can eat just a little bit, and it'll take you a lot longer than if you ate a lot of fluffy stuff that wasn't very nutritional, like a lot of potato chips or whatever, and it would take you a long time to get a lot of eating to get the same amount of nutrition. So what you do when you're doing your homeschooling is you're going to give your kids a nutrition bar or a steak. And you are going to make sure that what you give to them is so full that it will feed them so well that you don't have to spend a lot of time doing fluffy or boring things. For one thing, if they're interested, if this is really feeding them, they're going to want more on their own. You're going to have to try to pull them back. It's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Mom, all those books you gave me, I already read them all. Because they're going to be so, they feed. You see, children have this soul hunger. Yeah? They have a hunger to want to know. They have a hunger to want to be fed. Now, some of them don't exhibit that because it's been killed. Because we've been giving them fluff and board. Like with this relative I have. At a certain point, his taste buds for good food had been ruined. So he didn't, but after a while, after taking him off of that candy, then he hated candy from that point on. He hates candy. He can't stand candy. Don't even have candy near him. Because now he knows what good food tastes like. And that's what we want to do with our kids. We want to get rid of all the fluffy stuff. And you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so it's like, you can't just have a spelling thing. You got to have songs and dances and la 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 la, and you got to have bright colors, because really there's nothing at the core of it, or they're so used to the fluff and the candy and the la 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 that they can't sit down and that's why you take away screen time during the week, at least. So for years and years and years, the way that we ran our house. Now when we got away from it, we really hated it, but we took away television, which now it's like, Netflix and everything else. Took that away from Monday through Friday and left it for the weekends. So what happens is then I know it's hard because lots of us, we have relied on these things to keep the kids sitting down so we could go wash the dishes. But that will boomerang, and it will cause you actually to have more issues rather than less issues. And you'll find once you take that artificial thing out, that your kids will settle down more, and they will learn how to entertain themselves, and they won't be as rambunctious as they were when we relied. It's really interesting how that works. But anyway, so when we do that, we take away that fluff, then they get hungry for the meat. You understand? Just like that young man, when they took away the candy and he got hungry and they started feeding him actually nutritious food, he started being hungry for nutritious food. His tastes changed, and then he couldn't have nothing but nutritious foods. I mean, he has snacks, understand, but not sugary candy. He can't stand it. So that's what we want to do with our kids. And after a while, our kids, their tastes for the good will come back, and they will be able to smell something that's awful. They can smell candy, and they hate it. My kids hate it. Now, when they were little, sometimes I had to steer them away because they had a good diet, and they would be kind of tempted by that. But then when they watched it or read it, they would go, oh, yeah, this is really awful, right? So when we develop their tastes for that, then we get them moving in the direction we want them to go. Then when we feed them the nutritional stuff, they gulp it down, they love it, so that they are open the rest of their lives. And the rest of their lives, they're ruined because it's hard for them to live, and sometimes it causes conflict because they go out into the world. They go out into a world that's been fed fluff and candy, and it's sometimes hard for them to communicate. And I will admit that is sometimes a problem, but you have to teach them. And we'll talk about other resources that we can use to help them to navigate in a world that is on a fluff candy diet when they have been eating meat and nutritious food all of their lives. And sometimes it can be a little hard to navigate, but if you've got, your kids have to make their choices. They have to make their own choices. You cannot mommy them for the rest of their lives. And you know what? God talks about gentleness. But anyway, whole other subject, and I'm getting off subject, and I'm going on a rabbit trail, and I've got to save some information for next time. Next time, we're going to talk about, what you're going to do with all the information that I've been giving you so far. How are we going to put it into practice as far as gathering your materials? So stay tuned. We're going to do some specific recommendations. A little bit, maybe. Bye-bye. Like and subscribe. Have a great day.